Welcome to the fourth session of Healthy Head and Healthier Mind. Yesterday, I was discussing about all these maintain a healthy throat, such as Nadi Shodhana Kriya, Swara Shodhana Kriya, Ujjayi Kriya, Pranayama. I just want to share one of my interactions. In our college, once they called one US returned surgeon who was working in a reputed he was working even in Bangalore in a very reputed hospital, invited to give a talk about how to make the throat to all the teaching community in our college. It was a very good presentation. He discussed the complete anatomy of the vocal cords, and at the end, when there was a question answer session, I casually asked him that I have been practicing this Swarashodhana Kriya and Kaki Pranayama, and whenever I used to have through difficulties, these two practices used to help me a lot. And I casually asked his opinion about these two practices. But he told that these two practices, I actually gave a demonstration there. And after my demonstration, after my question, he told that as these two practices are going to have more and more friction on the vocal cords, it is not recommended to practice. But then I was dismayed, and I have been practicing it for the last 15 years. I was getting good benefit. But he was telling against it. That day evening, I shared this information with my good friend Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavnani on Facebook. And Anand Balayogi Bhavnani simply gave a comment that whatever education the high-level surgeons may be having, they are actually unaware of the yogic practices. Only the people who practice will be knowing the benefits as well as the mechanism in which these practices are working. So he was supposed to say that I don't know. Instead, he simply says no. That is how generally these high-level surgeons behave. Anyway, I kept on insisting that as I've been practicing since last many years, I have been practicing now also, and I have been getting a very good benefit out of it. So I did not want to comment on the knowledge level of these surgeons, but my only query is that they have not explored the science of yoga. Most of the time, the modern medical community is looking at this human body as if a mechanic is looking at. They forget the fact that this human body is capable of healing itself, and if it is clean throughout, wherever, whether it is throat or nostrils or ears or eyes or stomach or intestine, wherever, if the whole body is internally kept clean, it can maintain its health. So this I just wanted to share with you. Let me continue with the next presentation. There is a small question here. Frequently, my gums are bleeding while brushing. Practice Taila Gandusha regularly for a few days. Yes, you can practice it every day. 3 days once you do it. If you do it, you are putting more pressure on the gums and the. So you can practice 3 days once, maybe for next 2 weeks. Later on, better keep it only once in a week, or later on, keep it once in a month. Only in the initial days, the frequency can be slightly more. Later on, practice it on a weekly basis also, because it is going to apply more and more pressure for the gums. Once in a month, later on. Okay, let me maintain the healthy tea or kashaya with the Yasti Madhu. Yasti Madhu, it is also called as Giesta Madhu. A very good healer for the throat. So, recipe for kashaya in my consume coffee or such modern so-called energy. When throat is infected, mix a little turmeric powder with a little amount of honey and consume it. This is a very good. Who are in the talking profession, they'll keep on getting upset. Whenever some little bit of pain in the throat, a little bit of turmeric powder can be mixed with a little bit of honey, and this has to be consumed very, very slowly. Medium powder, and turmeric powder is a very good antibiotic. When you consume it very, very slowly, it will get smeared around the vocal cords, remain there for some time, so the area can be effectively healed and cleansed. For throat pain, consume a small amount of tricato, little amount of honey. Sometimes in the cold weather conditions, moisture, when you are inhaling it, some people may develop throat pain as well. So whenever you experience even a little bit of pain in the throat, don't ignore it. Whenever you experience a little bit of pain also, Tricato Churna at home always. I've been telling you, Triphala Churna and Tricato Churna you should have at home. Consume a small, again, a little amount of honey, and you can consume it, heal the pain. Another remedy is black pepper kashaya, which I have been referring to. The method is given here of crushed black pepper with 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds and half teaspoon of coriander seeds in 1 cup of water. Then after it boils, add a little bit of jaggery with onions and garlic. Maybe a half an onion, or if it's a small sized, and boil it for some time. And afterwards, you can boil it, then you can strain it, and you can take it. This is a very good remedy for the complete health of ENT, ear, nose, throat. Black pepper is a very good killer for germs. So remember this particular formula and make it a habit that during cold seasons or whenever you have throat infection, whenever you have cold, or even if you have ear pain, this particular kashaya is a very good remedy. It should be hot enough and you should consume it slowly so that the vapor of these will inside into the nostrils, into the ear canal, and even to the. I've been telling you that this is grandmother's great medicine for us when we were in childhood. General remedies for mouth infections. If mouth is having blisters, boil turmeric powder or Triphala Churna in water and gargle using warm water. One more remedy is consume groundnut seeds boiled in salted water. In general, in Bangalore city or in South India, nuts is boiled in salted water on the roadside as well. But I'll advise that you is boiled at your home in a salted water. It's a very good disinfectant, and groundnut seed is containing enough nutrition. So that way you will have nutrition also, you will have healing of the mouth also. Keep a Yashtimadu tablet below the tongue, let it dissolve through, swallow the saliva slowly. So tablets are available in Ayurvedic shops. Whenever you have, you can keep one Yashtimadu tablet below the tongue and so on. And when the saliva is produced, keep on swallowing. This is going to keep your mouth, throat on. You need not try all of these remedies. Whichever remedy you feel comfortable, because in Ayurveda, for one particular problem, there are multiple. Nature is as such. If there is a single problem, there are multiple solutions. So that way you can try whichever solution is comfortable for you. One more remedy is put 1 teaspoon of honey into the mouth, let it become diluted inside, swallow it after some time. This is a very easy remedy compared to all other remedies. You have to simply put 1 teaspoon of honey, and after some time it will get diluted because of the saliva. You can slowly swallow it. Drink lemon juice prepared using warm water. In the cold conditions, in the cold weather, when you have problems with the mouth or throat, it is not advisable to drink cold water. So you can prepare lemon juice using warm water itself, or you can drink the warmed up tender coconut water also. These are all some suggested remedies for mouth infections. Coming to toothpaste and tooth powder. Cleanse your teeth twice daily, in the morning and after supper. To avoid harmful chemicals, the toothpaste can be prepared at home. In general, almost all the toothpastes will contain preservatives because they are in the semi-fluid form for keeping their life for a larger amount of time. In general, preservatives are going to be added. So if at all you want to avoid the toothpaste completely, you can have the toothpaste prepared at home. You can mix adequate amount of garlic paste, lemon juice, powdered cloves, powdered cumin seeds, and rock salt. This you can mix and you can keep it as a toothpaste. You can use it as a toothpaste. This is one suggestion. Alternatively, I have been using herbal toothpastes and Ayurvedic toothpastes since many years. You can go for KP Nambudiri toothpaste, or you can go for even the Dantakanti, that Baba Ramdev's toothpaste. You can use them regularly. There are many herbal toothpastes available. Even Himalaya company's Ayurvedic toothpastes are available. You can buy all these Ayurvedic and herbal toothpastes which are available. Whichever you feel like comfortable or liking it, you can keep on using it. Alternately, herbal mouthwash also can be used. In Shomogga, one Ayurvedic doctor has formulated one particular herbal mouthwash. He does not call it as a herbal mouthwash. He calls it as Ayurdantam. And it is just a few 4 or 5 drops of this Ayurdantam. You have to put it into your mouth and leave it like that for next 2 to 3 minutes. Gradually, this solution, it is an Ayurvedic solution. It will dilute within the mouth and it will effectively cleanse the mouth. No need to use the toothbrush also. Without using toothbrush, this will cleanse the mouth. This you can try out. It is available everywhere in Ayurvedic shops. It is available online also. You can search for Ayurdantam. It is not very expensive also. You can buy around 6 bottles at a time. It will last you for at least for 2 to 3 months. Either you can try that, or you can try all the Ayurvedic toothpaste which are available. As I've been telling you, buy Swadeshi and encourage Swadeshi. There are so many Ayurvedic toothpaste brands available. You can try all of them, even the Dabur Red, Vico Vajradanti, all that you can try out. Now, tooth powder is better than toothpaste in cleansing. Reason is, as it is in the solid form, there will not be any preservatives added. That is the plus point. Second thing is, you need not use toothbrush when you are using tooth powder. The tooth powder can be directly applied onto the teeth by means of a wet finger. What you can do is, if you are a right-hander, you can put one quarter teaspoon of tooth powder or half teaspoon of tooth powder onto your left palm, and you can make your right hand's index finger wet by means of water, and you can dip this finger onto this tooth powder, and you can simply apply it onto your teeth directly through your finger. So this tooth powder can be directly applied onto the teeth by means of a wet finger. No need of using a toothbrush. And If at all you want effective healing of the teeth, once in a week, leave the tooth powder within the mouth for 3 to 5 minutes. Simply apply the tooth powder around the teeth, maybe both surfaces of the teeth and even above and below the teeth. And then leave it within the mouth for 3 to 5 minutes. What will happen is gradually mouth will secrete more and more saliva, and this tooth powder will mix with the saliva. And just like this Taila Gandusha or oil pulling, you can swish and rinse the mouth afterwards. You can swish this liquid within the mouth. You can leave it there for 3 to 5 minutes. This is a very good remedy for all ear, nose, and throat problems as well, because the tooth powder also contains medicinal herbal items. So that way it is going to help a lot. I particularly liked one particular tooth powder called Mittise. You can visit mittise.com and you can start buying their products as well. They have a beautiful recipe of tooth powder. And they say that their particular tooth powder has to be left in the mouth for nearly 10 minutes. Because it is not a very concentrated or very potent tooth powder. It is a mild tooth powder. That particular tooth powder can be kept within the mouth for 10 minutes. But if you are using KP Nambudiri, or you can also buy BV Pandit tooth powder, BV Pandit Nanjanagood Hallupudi. Since many decades it has been there. Very popular and aromatic tooth powder. Actually, KP Nambudiri tooth powder and BV Pandit tooth powder are generally like cosmetic tooth powders. They have cosmetic value also and they have medicinal property also. There is one more company called Bhuvanendra Pharmacy, New Bhuvanendra Pharmacy. It is near Udupi in a village called Katpadi. I should tell you about this particular Swamiji called Bhuvanendra and Varadendra. They belong to Gauda Saraswata Brahmin tradition. They have been the pontiffs of this particular tradition. Varadendra was a voracious reader of Vedanta, and Varadendra used to read a Bible, and for reading Bible, he studied even the Hebrew script and the Hebrew language. Even in his old age, he used to study Hebrew. When his disciples asked him why is he studying Hebrew, he used to say that I want to read Bible in its original, whatever directly Jesus Christ told and whatever was recorded by his disciples, I want to read that, because all other versions are translated versions and we cannot depend on the translator for the true meaning of the sentences told by the great prophet Jesus Christ. So that was Swami Varadendra. In the same tradition, there was Swami Bhuvanendra, and he was very much fond of studying about the human body's health, and he was very much fond of studying the Ayurvedic concepts. So they had named this pharmacy on his name. Even now this pharmacy is working. Again, I have been telling you, buy Swadeshi, encourage local manufacturing. This new Bhuvanendra pharmacy products are available even in Bangalore also, or you can buy online also. This Bhuvanendra pharmacy also, they are also manufacturing tooth powder. Apart from that, even this Dharmasthala Gramodyoga, they are also manufacturing herbal tooth powder. You can search for many of these brands in the Ayurvedic shops. Apart from whatever I have mentioned, you can buy this Vico Vajradanti Dabur Red also. And you can start using whichever you become fond of or you start liking them. But follow all these suggestions. Don't overdo any of these things just because of enthusiasm. Tooth powder will be slightly stronger than the toothpaste. Toothpaste will be generally in the diluted form. But toothpaste in general will have preservatives. Any liquid will have in general preservatives. Tooth powders, because they are in the solid form, there is no need of any preservative. So as much as possible, avoid using toothbrush. If you are using toothbrush, always use a soft toothbrush. But when you use toothpaste, you have to use toothbrush. You have no other choice. If you start using tooth powder, then no need of using toothbrush as such. How our older generation people used to remain healthy and their teeth used to be so strong, they never had toothpaste also, tooth powder also, toothbrush also. They used to directly use neem leaf, and in my native place, people always used mango leaf. They used to simply roll the mango leaf into a cylindrical form, and that they used to directly rub it on their teeth. And the mango leaf used to have a astringent nature, so that is how the mouth used to remain clean. That was their method. Even the cashew nut leaf also we used to use. When I was very young, we never had toothpaste or tooth powder at home. We used mango leaf, or we used to use cashew nut leaf as a cleansing mechanism for our teeth as well as the mouth. My grandmother used to tell me that after rubbing the leaf to all the teeth, she used to tell me that you have to chew that leaf in your mouth itself. That way, when you chew and then spit out. When you chew this leaf in your mouth, whole mouth is going to be cleansed, because those leaves have the antibacterial property, they have a healing property or a cleansing property. I give you a small recipe or formula about tooth powder also. A finely powdered mixture of dried leaves of neem, in Kannada we call it as bevu, and jamun, in Kannada we call it as nerale, and chirchita, in Kannada we call it as uttarani. In fact, if at all you can grow uttarani through your pots on the terrace garden, it is advisable that uttarani's whole plant, you can take away its stems, you can dry it, and you can put it in a mixie, and you can make it a powder. You can directly use it as a tooth powder. Just this uttarani itself or chirchita itself, that alone is enough as a tooth powder. But other things I am telling you because all others are having a medicinal property as well. Neem, jamun, chirchita, and bilwa. Bilwa you are already familiar of. And dried bark of babool. In Kannada we call it as karijali. From this babool itself, the toothpaste babool came into picture. You can buy that particular toothpaste also. Meswak. Meswak is a very good toothpaste. Now Dabur has taken over that company. It is a very good toothpaste to be used. Then Kach, or in Kannada it is called as Kaggali. And then banyan bark. In Kannada it is called as ala. All these, along with alum or patika, along with some cloves, along with turmeric, and along with some amount of rock salt. Now all these can be dried out and it can be finely powdered, and this itself can be used as a tooth powder. That way you can have your own brand of tooth powder at home. There is another thing called Trivargaka. Trivargaka tooth powder and toothpaste. I'll show you the picture. This Trivargaka is basically Triphala plus Trikatu plus Trijata plus either Madhu or Taila. Triphala you are already familiar. Trikatu you are already familiar. Trijata I am showing you the picture now. Madhu is honey, or Taila means sesame seed oil. Either honey can be used or sesame seed oil can be used for mixing all of these together. Triphala is Haritaki, Amlaki, and Vibhitaki. Trikatu is Maricha, Ardraka, and Pippali. And Trijata is this Twak, Ela, and Patram. Actually, this Twak and Patram belong to a single tree. The same tree's leaves, they generally use it for preparing palav. And this is the same chakke. This also they use it for palav. Now this Twak and Patram along with the powdered cardamom, these three are called as Trijata. Now Triphala plus Trikatu plus Trijata, you can mix it with the adequate proportion of either honey or sesame seed oil. Now you may say that, sir, honey can we use for toothpaste? Yes, you can. Honey is acting as a medium to mix all these three things. Or if you don't like honey, you can use sesame seed oil directly. Or if you don't want a toothpaste, you can simply mix Triphala, Trikatu, and Trijata together. That will become a tooth powder itself. You can try out this formula as well. No voice is heard or voice is breaking. Maybe because of the network issues, but you don't have to worry. Anyhow, this is being recorded. When it is being recorded, the voice will not be broken as such. Let us see. I hope now I am audible. Somebody can reply in the chat. Okay.
Audible, sir. Audible.
Okay, let me continue. You can see a picture of all the herbs here. Dharmartha kama mokshanam arogyam moolamuttamam rogattasya apahartaraha shreyasaha jivitasya cha. This is told in the Charaka Samhita. Dharma, artha, kama, mokshanam. This is called Chaturvidha Purushartha. Our ancient seers used to define the purpose of life as live through righteousness, earn your wealth through righteousness, fulfill your desires through righteousness, and attain salvation through righteousness. That was called as dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But Charaka says, if at all you have to fulfill dharma, artha, kama, moksha, you should have a healthy life. Arogyam moolam uttamam. Rogat tasya apahartaraha shreyasaha jivitasya cha. Charaka said that rogat tasya apahartaraha. If at all body is suffering from a disease, disease should be eradicated, sickness should be eradicated, so that shreyasaha jivitasya cha. Life will become more and more beneficial. This was told by Charaka Samhita. Now Sushruta says, Samadoshaha samagnischa samadhatu malakriyaha prasanna atmendriyamanaha swasthaitya Samadoshaha sama agnihi cha samadhatuhu malakriyaha prasanna atma indriya manaha swastha iti abhidiyate. Vata, Pitta, Kapha. All these three should be in equal proportion. Means 33.33% Vata, 33.33% Pitta, 33.33% Kapha. It should be in that proportion. In general, in the body, it will not be in that proportion. That's why I have been telling you to consume Chavanaprasha. The Chavanaprasha will balance Vata and Kapha. When you consume Chavanaprasha along with either ghee or with cow's milk, this milk or ghee is going to pacify the Pitta. Actually, Chavanaprasha is slightly going to increase the Pitta, whereas that ghee and milk is counteract on that. So this particular habit of consuming Chavanaprasha either with cow's ghee or with cow's milk is going to attain this purpose of Samadosha gradually. Samagnischa, you should have enough digestive fire in your stomach so that the food which you consume should be effectively digested. Regarding this, I have spoken at length earlier. Samadhatu malakriyaha. There are 7 dhatus which are discussed in the Ayurveda. Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Medas, Asti, Majja, Tvak. These are called as Sapta Dhatu. So all these dhatus, they'll be produced in the body as well and they'll be leaving out of the body as well. Regularly, this body will keep on producing these dhatus from the nutrition that is available from the food. So all these 7 dhatus must be in adequate proportion and the excretion property should happen effectively. Ayurveda says 3 excretions: Mutra, Purisha, Sweda. Urine and feces and sweat. These 3 are called as Mala. And Ayurveda says all these 3 must be effectively eradicated from the body. Prasanna Atma Indriya Manaha. Yourself, you should feel happy and your sense organs must be healthy. Your mind must be calm. Then it is called as Swastha. Swastha iti abhidhiyate. Then that is called as health. Basically, the meaning of Swastha means the one who is stable with himself. Swa means self. Stha means staying. The one who is attaining stability with himself or herself, with body, with mind, with soul, then that is called swasthya. So this is the definition of health in Sushruta Samhita. This stupid fool Arvinda keeps saying that painkiller pills are brain killer pills. Actually, pain cannot be killed. Wherever the pain is happening, if you take a drug for that particular pain, actually the nervous system is going to be reducing its activity because the poison went into the body. The place where the pain is being affecting, that pain will remain there, the problem will remain there. Only thing is the signal will not go to your brain because the nervous system is not working on that particular functionality of transmitting the pain to your brain. Now it is counteracting on the pill which you have taken. The pill itself is a poison now. So the body works on a priority now. It does not mean that the pain is gone. Now, after the drug's effect is over, the cause for the pain still remains there. So, body takes its own time to heal this pain in its own way. If that does not happen earlier, then the pain will be there again. That is why whenever the pain is there, take effective rest or take some other therapy. Don't go for painkiller pills. They are basically brain killer pills. Why when mad people, when they behave aggressively, what do? They purposely give them sedatives. What are these sedatives? Sedatives are nothing but these painkiller pills only. When they give them sedatives, they will become pacified because the nervous system will reduce its activity. Even after giving sedatives or drugs also, if the mad person does not come into control, then what do they give? They give injection. Even after that, if he does not come under control, they will give sometimes electric shock also. This is all because the nervous system has to be pacified. For that purpose, they do all that. So the painkiller pills are basically brain killer pills. Ayurveda cures diseases from the root. Ayurveda cures diseases with the root. This has been told by Dr. Giridhar Gaje. I have been telling about him earlier. Now he has become very popular in Bengaluru. You already have seen his news and videos. So he is the one who has been sincerely practicing Ayurveda since last 20-25 years. I know him from last 20 years. And how from a small scale Ayurvedic clinic, how he has grown. Now we have so many branches all over Bangalore. Very sincerely, he has tried to educate people. He used to take sessions about Ayurveda at his home as well. He used to conduct Ayurveda conferences as well. So every Sunday, he used to have one cultural program at his center itself. And in that center, he used to organize either Yakshagana program or Bharatanatyam program or classical music program. And in those programs, whenever he used to come, he used to simply tell to people that come to these sessions and soothe yourself, remain healthy. As much as possible, don't come to my clinic. That is what he used to say. He used to say that practice yoga and practice healthy lifestyle. Every Sunday come here, watch these cultural programs. As much as possible, remain calm. And as much as possible, don't come to my clinic. This is what he used to say. You can watch all his videos in the YouTube. I have learned Dr. Girdhar Gaje's articles. Even though I am personally not in touch with him as such, I have met him a couple of times, but I did not have too much of interaction with him orally. But I have studied a lot, learned a lot from his Kannada articles. So he simply says, Ayurveda cures diseases from the root. Ayurveda cures diseases with the root. He also used to say that Ayurveda is not an alternative medicine. It is the knowledge of this particular land. Charaka and Sushruta very much belong to India. In wellness, when we get replaced with illness, this is told by my dear friend Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavnani, my Paramaguru's son. In wellness, when we get replaced with I, that becomes illness, very much. As long as possible, people develop their ego. I'm going to talk about it at length. As much as possible, these people keep on increasing their arrogance or ego. They will suffer more because of their own ego. Gradually, ego should be reduced as much as possible. My personal experience tells me that you should have only that much of ego which you can sustain your daily activities, because ego is always required to some extent. If a person is not having any ego, then the person may not do anything at all. If you don't have any ego, you may not listen to these sessions at all. If I don't have any ego, I may not conduct these sessions at all. So a little bit of ego is necessary as a driving force for us to involve ourselves in useful activities. But we should put a limit about how much ego we should have, how much ego we should not have. ಅಭಿಮಾನ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಹಂಕಾರ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಭಿಮಾನಕ್ಕೂ ಅಹಂಕಾರಕ್ಕೂ ನಡುವೆ ಬಹಳ ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮವಾದ ಒಂದು ಎಳೆ ಇದೆ, ವ್ಯವಹರಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. Between confidence and arrogance, there is a very subtle difference. We will never know when the confidence will turn itself into arrogance. We must all be confident enough to perform all our activities, but that should not turn into arrogance, that we have to keep up. So that ego is basically having these two dimensions. Confidence is also one type of ego only. Arrogance is also one type of ego only. Increased ego results in arrogance. Optimum amount of ego is called as confidence. So that balance we should keep. When Ananda Bala Yogi says, in wellness, when we gets replaced with I, it becomes illness. Medicines yield side effects. Herbal, this has been told by Yogavana Swamiji. His full name is Kapardi Siddhalinga Swamiji. I have learnt a lot from him regarding the human digestive system and about its healing methods. So modern medicines yield side effects because most of the modern medicines are poisonous medicines, chemical medicines, whereas herbal medicines yield side benefits because, as I told you earlier, in nature for one solution in nature for one problem there are multiple solutions. Same way, these herbal medicines, you take it for one purpose, it will do many other good purposes. For example, all these coriander seeds, cumin seeds, and turmeric and garlic and onion which we are using in our cooking, they are yielding multiple benefits when they go into our bloodstream. That way, herbal medicines yield side benefits. Now again, the stupid fool Arvinda tells one more sentence called, health is not the consuming of the medicines, health is the non-consuming of the medicines. As much as possible, don't consume Ayurvedic medicines also. As much as possible, keep on practicing physical exercises, remain calm, consume nutritious, good food, take care of yourself. Avoid any type of medicines as such, because people have an assumption that when they keep on consuming medicines lifelong, they will have health. They are totally wrong that way. In your bedroom, on the rack, if you have multiple types of small bottles with a lot of pills, and if you keep taking them regularly, it doesn't mean that you are remaining healthy. It means that lifelong you are taking these poisonous items into your body. So health is not the consuming of the medicines. Health is the non-consuming of the medicines. Medicines have to be consumed only when it is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, there is nothing called lifelong medicines. There is something called lifelong rasayana in Ayurveda. Rasayana is basically a food supplement. Whereas Ayurvedic medicines should not be taken lifelong. Even this Tripala Churna, Trikatu Churna, they are not taken regularly. They have to be taken only when you get such symptoms, only when you get such sicknesses. Otherwise, they need not be consumed regularly. If you consume them regularly, they will become harmful only. So medicines cannot be regularly taken as such. And the concept of lifelong medicine itself is wrong, which means that if you keep on taking a medicine lifelong, then it simply means that when will your body get cured then? If you keep on taking medicine lifelong, you should ask a question to yourself that when the body, it will never be healed. So, my dear friends, remember, health is not the consuming of the medicines. Health is the non-consuming of the medicines. Still, in my next slide, I'm going to suggest you some of the Ayurvedic medicines for some general unhealthy conditions. These are some general herbal medicines. Just now I have told you that health is not the consuming of medicines, health is the non-consumption of medicines. But at times what happens, because of your lifestyle or because of the external pressures or because of the weather conditions or for whatever reason, in my own case, because of my own profession of teaching, talking for 3 hours, 4 hours in a day, we keep developing some types of health ailments. Many times in such cases, we will have to depend on some of these medicines. So I recommend you some of these general herbal medicines. If at all you have abdominal pain, you can have Hingvastaka Churna along with ghee. Hingvastaka Churna is available in the Ayurvedic shops. If at all you have severe acidity, you can consume Avipattikara Churna with water. This is a very strong Churna. People, when they say that Ayurveda is very slow, I should tell you that once you take this particular Avipattikara Churna, you will feel whether it is slow or whether it is fast. As soon as you consume this particular Churna, your stomach becomes completely cool. This is basically a coolant because acidity is hot. So that hotness of the acidity is going to be cooled by this particular Churna. This is a very strong Churna. So you should be careful when you consume this. Should not do any overdosage. Maximum quarter teaspoon to half teaspoon, and you have to consume it with water. This is only for people who have high acidity. Now, if you have allergy, you can consume Haridra Khanda along with warm milk or with honey. People who have asthma or breathing disorders, they can keep consuming Kanakasava and Agastya Rasayana. And people who have bleeding disorders, they can consume Ushirasava or Pravala Panchamrita. Now, for childhood complaints, in general, the kids will have always nostrils oozing out, or they will have all types of cough and cold and fever things. So, in general, they can be given this vacha, and they can be given with Aravindasava. Aravinda means lotus flower. From the lotus plant, they make an asava, that is called Aravindasava. This can be given to children. If you have cold and cough, cold along with cough, you can consume Kanakasava also. In general, whenever you consume this asava or arishta, 1 teaspoon of asava or arishta, you will have to dilute with 1 teaspoon of water. Then you have to consume it after food. All these things are after food only. You can consume Kanakasava and you can also consume Sitopaladi Churna. If you have constipation, after food, before going to sleep, you can consume Tripala Churna, 1 teaspoon along with warm water. You can also consume Sukumara Ghrita. If you have cough, dry cough, if you don't have cold, only cough if you have, then you can consume Tali Sadi Churna along with honey. Now, if you have digestion problems, this is a very good rasayana called Madi Phala Rasayana. This is a tasty rasayana. It is in the liquid form. It is slightly sweet. It is produced from a fruit called Madi Phala. In Kannada, we call it as Madala Hannu. From that fruit, they prepare a rasayana. This will increase your digestive strength. Now, for energy, you can consume Ashwagandha Rasayana or Drakshyadi Lehya. These you have to consume after supper, 1 teaspoon along with warm milk. If at all you want to take care of your eyes, always use herbal eye drops, or you can prepare a Triphala decoction. I had already told you about it. Whenever you have fever, let us say you get a mild symptom of fever, a mild temperature rise, which you can sense always. As soon as you sense that particular fever, immediately take Amritarishta. Have a bottle of Amritarishta always at home, and have a bottle of Dashamula Arishta always at home. Actually, Dashamula Arishta contains 10. I already told you when I was telling about Chavanaprasha. Dashamula Arishta is a very good immunity agent. If at all, for kids, if Dashamula Arishta, at least for 1 year, before going to sleep, they should take 1 teaspoon of Dashamula Arista with 1 teaspoon of water diluted at least for 1 year. They will develop a lot of immunity. Now, whenever you have fever, immediately take Amrita Arista 3 times in a day. After breakfast, after lunch, after dinner. 3 teaspoons of Amrita Arista with the diluted water. 3 teaspoons means morning 1 teaspoon, afternoon 1 teaspoon, evening 1 teaspoon. Don't increase the dosage. These are all basically Arista. Arista and Asava are herbally prepared alcohol. This alcohol is purposefully made to preserve the medicinal content of these herbal items. But this alcohol content is very less. It is not like your beer or wine. Alcohol content is very less there, and it is working as a preservative there, and you are going to take only 1 teaspoon. That way you don't have to worry. For that matter, even the gripe water is also a dilute alcohol itself. So, if at all you get a fever, don't ignore the fever. You can immediately sense that you have a mild temperature in the body. Now, don't ignore it. Immediately you take Amrita Arista 3 times in a day. And along with Amrita Arista, if you want to take Dashamula Arista, you can take. Here I have put Dashamula Arista especially for children. If at all you are giving Amrita Arista for children, make it as half teaspoon. Don't make it as 1 teaspoon. I have been telling you about this Amrita Balli or Guduchi, which is a non-dying herb. That is what is called Amrita. It is never dying herb. This from this Amrita Balli or from this Guduchi plant, in general they take out many things. From the leaf they take out the extract, then they make this Amrita Arista. From its stem, what they do is the stem they keep it in water, and the stem releases its essence into the water. Then they gradually filter it out. There remains a white powder, which is the residual content of this particular stem. That white powder, they store it in a bottle. They call it as Guduchi Sattva. That Guduchi Sattva is also available in all Ayurvedic shops. This is also a very good immune agent. If people who have a lot of sick problems, regularly becoming feverish or regularly becoming ill, they can keep taking this Guduchi Sattva every day, half teaspoon of Guduchi Sattva along with honey after dinner. Gradually their body will develop a lot of immunity, because this Amritavalli itself is a great immune agent. Now, in general, whenever you have a mild fever, as soon as you take Amrita Arista, that fever will go away. Within 1 day, it will go away. If it does not go the next day, again take this Amrita Arista for the next 3 times, next day also. Even after 3 days, if the fever does not go away, then only you consult a doctor. Otherwise, in general, all the fevers will immediately go away. Fever is not a disease. Fever is a disorder. Fever is an indication that the body has toxins. So to remove the toxins from the body is going to increase the circulation and it is going to increase the temperature. So when the body's temperature is increased, blood is pumped heavily, and that is when body is trying to heal itself. Now when a fever is happening, you should not become suddenly afraid. Always something bigger. It is not the case. Whenever a fever is happening, it is the body's mechanism to heal itself. So, if the temperature heavily increases, let us say in kids when it becomes fits, then you should take it seriously. If the fever is suddenly increasing within 1 day, you have to take it very seriously. It may be a serious fever, like dengue or chikungunya or malaria or hepatitis or whatever. But all the fevers are not hepatitis, all the fevers are not dengue, all the fevers are not chikungunya. The mild fever can be always in general healed. Fever itself is not a disease, it's a disorder. Even when a dengue, chikungunya, malaria is happening also, what is happening? Because the virus is increasing inside the body, temperature is increasing. The virus went into the body by means of a mosquito or by means of the weather or by means of some other thing. Now, if the body is having enough immunity, the virus will not be multiplying at all. I have been telling you, this body is containing enough life-giving cells. And if there are enough life-giving cells, life-taking cells, will not have a chance to multiply. Let us say the life-taking cells are more stronger than the life-giving cells, then the life-taking cells will take over. That is when, in general, cough, cold, and fever is happening. Now, as soon as they try to take over, if at all you immediately take Amritarishta or Dashamularishta, they are counter-attacked by this particular herbal extract. And that is how viruses will not have a chance to multiply inside the body. Viruses will become dormant, or viruses will get washed away by this medicinal content. This has been my experience. I never had dengue or chikungunya or malaria, but I used to have fever because of weakness. I used to have fever because of restlessness, overworking, all that. And I used to take rest. I used to take Amritarishta. Even now also, whenever I have heavy cold weather, actually last month, I went to college, and when I was coming back, there was raining. And even though when I had a helmet and a raincoat, because of the rain effect, I had some moisture inhalation and I had a mild fever at night. I immediately took Amritarishta 1 teaspoon. Morning, the fever was not there. This has been my experience. So every fever need not be taken as if it is some dangerous fever itself. I'll tell you a small story. One lady used to regularly go for her checkup. And one day she had some strange sensations inside her stomach. She had some strange movements inside her stomach. And she started thinking that there is something inside her stomach. She went to one particular doctor. The doctor checked her completely and he told, there is nothing inside your stomach, you don't have to worry. And he sent her back. Next day, again, she had the same feeling that there is something inside her stomach. There is a case in medical history called pseudocyesis. Such pseudocyesis cases have been real, and on such case, S.L. Bhairappa has written one Kannada novel also. Pseudocyesis basically means that, let us say, a particular lady did not get children for many years, but when she is longing for a child for many years, someday, because of her own psychological longing, she will develop the symptoms as if she has become pregnant. Her body will develop all the symptoms of pregnancy. She will have vomiting sensations and her belly will expand. She will have delivery pain as well. Now, let us say for 9 months, if she does not go for any checkup, at the 9th month, she will have delivery pain also. She will have a labor pain also. But ultimately, there will not be any child inside. She would not be fertilized at all, but psychologically, she has induced that she has become pregnant and the body will develop all the symptoms of pregnancy. I'm not telling you a fictitious story. This is of pseudocyesis. You can check about its fact later on if you doubt on me. Now, such symptoms, they will affect our body as well. The way in which we think repeatedly, the same symptoms our body will develop. So this particular lady, she started thinking that she has a snake inside her. She started thinking that maybe when I was sleeping, I was keeping my mouth open, maybe some snake has gone into my stomach and that snake is inside my stomach. It is moving inside my stomach. And she went to another doctor and she told to the doctor directly that I feel that there is a snake inside my stomach. That doctor again checked her fully and he told, no, it is simply your assumption, it's your illusion. There is nothing inside your stomach, you can go back home. Now this lady went to so many doctors and she became popular throughout her area. All the doctors used to send her back that there is nothing inside her stomach. And she never used to believe in any particular doctor. She used to go to another doctor always. Because she became popular, after some time, when she went to a particular doctor, one new doctor, that new doctor had already known about this lady. So he told her, he checked her and he told her, yes, you have a snake inside your stomach. Tomorrow, again, you come to my clinic. I will operate on you and I will remove the snake. This lady became so happy. She told in all her neighborhood that, see, since many days I have been telling that I have a snake in my stomach. No doctor checked it. Now I have a doctor there. He has checked it, and tomorrow he is going to remove the snake from my stomach. What the doctor did was, he got one snake from elsewhere. He kept it in his clinic overnight. Next day when this lady went there, he made a drama as if he is operating on her. And after the operation was over, he took out that hidden bottle and he showed it to her and told that this was the snake which was inside your stomach. Now the lady became so happy. She told, can I take this snake home? I want to show to my neighborhood that I was right. And they have been ridiculing me. I want to show them the proof. Doctor said, by all means you can take the snake. Doctor already knew that that snake was from elsewhere. Now this lady brought that snake all the way to her home, and she proudly told all the neighbors that, see, that particular competent doctor removed the snake from my stomach now, and he operated on me. Now my stomach is free. And she kept on showing the snake to the neighborhood. Everybody kept on coming and looking at the snake and going back. Next day, the neighbor's daughter came to the house, and the neighbor's daughter asked this lady, Auntie, is it true that this snake was there inside your stomach? And the lady said, yes, my dear child, this snake was bothering me since many days. No other doctor could take it out, but that particular competent doctor, he checked me and took it out. See, that is the proof. Now this small kid again asked the question, Auntie, are you sure that this was inside your stomach? Now the lady told, yes, my dear, I have been suffering from this problem since many days. I have been telling you now, I have been suffering, but nobody could treat me. This doctor could treat me. Finally, this small girl asked, Auntie, what if the snake would have kept some egg inside your stomach? Now this lady had one more problem. What if the snake would have kept its eggs inside my stomach? I will have multiple snakes inside my body. This is an imaginary story. It is not a real story, but the story indicates about the suspicion or about the doubt or about the lack of faith. Ajnascha shraddadhanascha samshayatma vinashyati naloko naparaha nasukham samshayatmanaha is told in the Bhagavad Gita. Ajnascha shraddadhanascha samshayatma vinashyati naloko naparaha nasukham samshayatmanaha. Person who has doubt, that person who has doubt, the person who has lack of faith, the person who keeps on suspecting everything, that person will never be happy here, the person will never be happy there also. That is what the Bhagavad Gita says. So, the problem with the modern age is that with more and more of information, people keep on suspecting everything. People don't have faith on their own body. People don't have faith on the self which is already residing in this body. Whenever a small health issue comes also, people think as if they have a much bigger health issue. And even for a small headache, they will go for a MRI scanning. The reason for headache is overusage of head, or not giving proper nutrition to the head, or not taking proper rest. Even for that, they go for a high-level scanning. Even for a mild fever which can be solved just by taking Amritarishta, they will think always in the worst case, I may get whatever. Fear. False expectations appearing real. That is what is fear. Now, if you keep on doing regularly physical exercise, if you keep on living a hygienic life, why fever will come to you? Fever used to come to me earlier because of all my stresses and overwork and all those things. But now it is more than a decade that I did not suffer from fever for much longer. Now also when I get drenched in the rain or when I have a cold weather, I'll get a mild fever. But immediately I'll take this Amritarishta and next day morning I'll be again back to my work. My colleagues know that how much of leave I put in my regular work. I don't suffer much nowadays because of all these healthy practices. So keep a bottle of Amritarishta at home, keep a bottle of Dashamularishta at home. Whenever there is fever, immediately consume them. In general, all these general fevers will immediately go down. Even if a viral fever is there, even for viral fever, there is no medicine in allopathy. In general, there is a proverb, no, that if you take a medicine for a cold, it will get cured in 1 week. If you don't take a medicine for a cold, it will take 7 days. Because that is, cold is also, common cold is also basically a virus only. It is a virus infection only. So even if it is a viral fever, it will take its own time. Virus has to become dormant once again. You should not give a chance for the virus to multiply in your body. Wherever there is a decaying atmosphere, virus will multiply. The decaying atmosphere will be counteracted by these medicines. These medicines will not allow the inside part of the body to decay. That is the simple principle of maintaining the body from inside. Okay, if at all you have to take care of your hair, Brahmi Amla oil is available or Bringamalaka oil is available, that can be used. Let me go to the next slide. This is Hingvashtaka Churna and this is Tali Sadi Churna of Vaidyanath. Actually, Vaidyanatha in Hindi it has become Vaidyanath. Now, for heart care, you can consume Arjunarishta and Brahmi Rasayana. Heart is a muscle which keeps on working lifelong. So, for that particular health of the heart, Arjuna is, in Kannada we call it as Matti Mara. The tree called Arjuna. The bark of this Arjuna tree is preserved in an Arishta. That is why it is called Arjuna Arishta. This is utilized for the people who have weaker heart or people who keep on developing chest pain. They can keep on consuming Arjuna Arishta. One complete bottle every day, 1 teaspoon. After dinner, they can complete that particular one bottle. Their heart will gradually become stronger. For acidity, I had already told Avipattikara Churna. If there is a hyper acidity always there is a belching and pain in the stomach, there are better medicines called as Suta Shekhara and Kamadugha. Sometimes they call it as Kamadudha as well. For indigestion, you can consume Chitrakadivati or Lavana Bhaskara. For intestinal disorders, you can consume Abhayarishta and Triphala Churna. Especially for piles or for large intestine pain issues or even for prolapses, they generally consume Abhayarishta. For liver disorders such as fatty liver or liver bulging, you can consume Punarnavarishta and Trikatu Churna. For menstrual problems, Ashokarishta and Shatavari Rasayana. I advise all my lady listeners, don't ignore your menstrual issues and don't start consuming all other types of poisonous medicines. Ashokarishta and Shatavari Rasayana. Shatavari Rasayana, morning after breakfast you take, and Ashokarishta after dinner you take. Keep on taking these for months together. Gradually, your uterus will become stronger. Ashokarishta means the bark of Ashoka tree that is preserved in Arishta. Yesterday I was telling you how Charaka or how Sushruta or how Vagbhata, they came to know that what herb is meant for what type of health ailment. There is something called intuition. Through intuition only they could find out that this particular tree or this particular plant is useful for this type of health ailment. Actually, the science of yoga also got evolved just for the pursuit of health itself. We have varieties of yogasana practices, varieties of pranayama practices. Why those practices came into picture? Over a period of many millennia or over a period of many centuries, they kept on developing such healthy practices so as to maintain health. Now, for muscle cramps, Balarishta or Jirakarishta along with the Yogaraja Gugulu can be taken. For piles, herbal cream or oil. There is a very good herbal cream called Hadensa. Sometimes for such health issues, people do not want to talk in public because they think it is all some dirty matter. No, if it is paining you, why should you keep it as a dirty matter? If it is paining you, better you heal yourself as early as possible. There is one cream available called Hadensa. That is a very useful cream for piles. Along with that, Triphala Guggulu and Drakshasava can be taken for piles. For skin care, there is Kunkumadi Taila and there is Haridra Khanda with the honey. For sore throat, I have already told about Yashti Madhu. There is one more thing called Khadira Divati and there is Trikatu Churna. For teeth care, you can use herbal tooth powder, herbal toothpaste or mouthwash. I have already told you enough examples. For urinary disorders, there is one specific tablet called Chandraprabhavati and there is one asava called Chandanasava. This is made up of sandalwood. And for weakness in general, for body weakness, you can consume Kushmanda Rasayana. You can also consume Narasimha Rasayana. All these Rasayanas after dinner along with half cup of warm milk. So this list I am showing you not as a qualified doctor. I am not a qualified doctor. This list I am showing you just to indicate that there are thousands of solutions in Ayurveda for all types of health issues. So I don't recommend that you simply go through all these and you consume this on your own. My sincere advice to you is whenever you have serious health issues, you please consult an Ayurvedic doctor only. This is an indication that there are solutions available in so many ways. For some minor issues, you can try out all these solutions. If there are major issues, consult a competent Ayurvedic doctor. This is the cream which I had told you, Hadensa, which is for piles. I just want to tell you one of my examples, my own experience. Once I went to one particular function and there it was a family function which I could not avoid. So I went there. When I went there, as such, many of my family members are drunkards and meat eaters. There was a party there and out of compulsion I had to go there. There was a party there. They were all consuming liquor and they were ready for consuming meat. As I was not into any of those things, I was waiting for the function to end so that I will say bye-bye and I will come back home. But because I was alone there, they gave me one big bottle of 7-Up. One big bottle of 7-Up. And they mockingly told that as you do not consume anything else, you keep on consuming this. As I was alone there, they had put a movie on a big screen and all kids and ladies were watching. I was also watching. I kept on consuming this 7-Up. And then afterwards dinner was over. I had my vegetarian dinner. Then I came back home. Next day morning, I had blood going out of my rectum. And next day evening, that became a big wound. And I had this piles only. Big wound and part of the large intestine was oozing out small amount of blood. And I had a lot of difficulty in passing out the stools also. This was because of consuming that 1.5 liter of 7-Up continuously. And it had disturbed my complete system. Now, it was my own mistake. First thing is I went to such function. Later on, I made a resolution that I will not go to any such functions where I don't have a healthy food or I have a healthy atmosphere there. I have stopped going to many such functions. Sometimes because of family compulsion, I used to go. Now I have stopped that also. Nobody will compel me now. Now, that particular case, when I had blood going out, I had a severe pain there. I simply purchased this Hadensa cream from a shop and then I applied it to the rectum. Within 2-3 days, the wound was healed completely. This is my personal experience. Don't think that piles will come only to those people who keep on consuming heavy food also. if you consume 1.5 liter of 7-Up like me, or if you keep drinking all such soft drinks heavily, you will also get blood oozing out of your rectum. So you have to be very careful in such cases. So this is Hadensa. I have told you about the Mitti Se tooth powder. This is that Mitti Se tooth powder. KP Nambudri I have told you. This is that. Then Ayurdantam I have told you. That is this. Then I told you about Kunkumadi Taila. That is this. Especially BB Pandit and SN Pandit are very two popular brands in the Karnataka state for all such health products. Okay, there is a question here. You have told that how harmful are mobile radiation. Yeah, wait for it, man. Now I am discussing the health of nose, throat and teeth. Wait, I will come to mobile radiation. I have a slide separately for that. Okay, there is another question. If accidentally insect or flies goes into the ear or nose, will our system eliminate it automatically, or we need some remedy to eject it? Okay, if insect or flies goes into the nose, immediately body will initiate sneezing. Any foreign object, if it gets stuck up in the respiratory system, either sneezing or coughing will happen. So that way you don't have to worry. If at all it goes into the ear, and if it is stuck there in the ear, then there is a problem. You know that it has gone into the ear. If it is stuck in the ear, let us say it dies there. If it dies there, then you have to take it out. Then you have to consult a doctor. You should not take any bigger measure on your own. In such cases only, you have to consult your doctor. See, the medical system is there for emergencies. You will have to respect the medical system. I did not insult the medical system. Okay, till now, I did not say any derogatory remarks for the medical system. I am commenting only against its negative effects. Otherwise, medical doctors are there. Even in Ayurveda, surgical procedures are there. So Shruta himself had performed many surgical procedures. So if in such cases of emergencies, you will have to consult a doctor. You should not do anything on your own. If something goes into the ear, you should not ignore it. Okay, also what happens if unknowingly we eat worms or germs? For example, fig fruits, it is very hard to differentiate between worms. If at all unknowingly you eat worms or germs, don't worry, it will simply get digested inside your stomach. That's all. Okay. See, I had already told you, any organic food will gradually decay. Whenever it decays, it forms worms only, right? That means worms did not come from elsewhere. Worms are produced for the decaying matter itself. It doesn't matter as such. Many times, if the food gets decayed inside the stomach, then there also you will have worms, no? Many kids, they will have their worms inside the stomach. When they keep on consuming sweet, there will be worms inside the stomach also. So there will be medicines given separately for eradicating those worms also. Even today in the rural areas in India, they give this castor oil to be drunk to children also. Why do they give this castor oil to be drunk to children? The castor oil goes into the stomach and it eradicates the worms which are there in the system, especially in the intestine. So that way, even if you eat worms that way, it will simply get digested by your hydrochloric. You don't have any remedy for hearing loss. I had already told enough. Keep it. Namaskara. Keep on applying warm salt vapor ear. If there is a permanent hearing loss, I may not be able to suggest anything there. If at all the ear drum is damaged or the cochlear nerves themselves are dismembered, it may be a permanent damage. If it's a temporary damage, as soon as the blood circulation happens to the ear properly, then automatically healing happens there. The ear may reconstruct itself on its own. But if it is permanent, there is no solution. What about skin care? I have already told no. For skin care, keep using Kunkumadi Taila, Haridra Khanda with the honey. This I have told you. And I had already told in my last presentation, at least once in a month, take Taila. You either use Kshirabara Taila or you use Mahanarayana Taila. Using one of these Taila, apply this over your body, including the face, and leave it for half an hour or 1 hour. Then take a hot water bath. If you keep on practicing this at least once in a month, skin will take care of itself. That's all. For skin, there is no need of applying any cream or nothing like that. Basically, skin will remain healthy only if the toxins from the skin are removed periodically. That is happening through the Tailabhyanga Snana or oil massage therapy. If you are lazy not to perform Tailabhyanga Snana on your own, then there is Kotakal, Aryavidya, all those shops are available. You can go there. They will perform a massage on your body, preferably with the Malayali nurse around you. You will be more happy. You pay money to them. They will take good care of your body by means of this Tailabhyanga. Okay, that way you can take care of your skin. Let me go to the next slide. One of the first duties of the physician is to educate the masses not to take medicine. This was told by William Osler, described as the father of modern medicine. So many decades before, he told that one of the first duties of the physician is to educate the masses not to take medicine. Now, based on this only, Arvinda kept saying that health is not the consumption of medicines, health is the non-consumption of medicines. They should not take medicines for each and everything. Medicines have to be taken only when it is absolutely necessary. People are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and are treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. This is a funny situation of the modern lifestyle. Actually, it is a paradox. It's a fallacy. The food industry should pay more attention to health. So they don't bother. All types of fusion food we have available now. All types of continental food is available here. Charaka says in his Samhita that Yasmin Deshe Yo Jataha Tasmin Tajjoshadam Hitam, means whatever food is available in a particular region, that itself should be consumed. But here, because of the cosmopolitan culture, because of the global village culture, now all types of foods are available everywhere, especially in India, where all types of food are available, and that food industry is not paying attention to health as such. You really don't know. Whenever you consume all this continental food or fusion food, mixture of so many other things into one combo, you really don't know whether what is happening inside your body. If at all you have already gone through the art and science of eating presentations, you would have got some idea now. If at all you have a faith on my words. Otherwise, the food industry does not pay attention to health. Similarly, what about the health industry? The health industry, when you go, they don't talk much about food. They talk only about diagnosis, about reports, about scanning, about pills, about injections, about their own therapies. If at all you ask them about food, they will say, keep consuming, no problem. Keep consuming, no problem. Only thing is in Ayurveda, there is a serious differentiation that pathya, along with the medicine, what food you should take, what food you should avoid. Even in homeopathy, they have a system of what to avoid, what not to avoid. But in allopathy, they don't seriously say that you should avoid so many other things. Sometimes they will say, consume whatever you want to consume, keep on taking medicines also. What does it mean? They think that just by medicine, health will come into picture. It is not so. So people are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health. And people are treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. What a situation we have. This is told by Wendell Berry. Medicine is not health care. Food is health care. Medicine is sick care. Let us all get this straight for a change. Medicine is not health care. Food is health care. Medicine is sick care. Only when you are sick, you have to consume medicine, not otherwise. lifelong medicine should not be taken at all. Let us all get this straight for a change. Consume sweet food first, salty and sour in between, and pungent and astringent and bitter at the end, as per Ayurveda. In general, in South India, when they feed some customary meal or festival meal, you can observe what do they feed in the beginning. Especially with Madhva Brahmins, you can see their lifestyle, you can observe, and you can just observe in what fashion they consume food. Initially, sweet will be fed in the beginning. A small amount of shavge paisa, along with a small amount of ghee. Consume sweet first, then salty and sour in between, and pungent, astringent, and bitter at the end. At the end, they will give tambula, one betel leaf, betel nut, and that is astringent, that is pungent. So that is how digestive power will increase at the end when you consume this betel leaf and betel nut, that is astringent and pungent. Salty and sour in between, first sweet should go into the stomach should feel happy. In general, whenever you consume sweet, stomach also is taking it as food itself, and stomach will become happy, and it will identify that this food has come, a pleasant food has come, it will get into the digestive process. Later on, when you give salty and sour also, it will get mixed with the sweet food, stomach will not become afraid. Finally, when you give pungent and bitter also, stomach will take it because it becomes a mixture at the end. This has to be the sequence in which food has to be consumed. Sweet should not be at the end. If the sweet is consumed at the end, most of the time nowadays in Bangalore, what I observe is in all receptions, wedding receptions or in other major functions, they give sweet at the end, heavy sweet at the end. That is not a good practice according to Ayurveda. Sweet should be in the beginning. Pungent, astringent, bitter should be at the end. You again observe Madhva Brahmin's meal. If at all they continue to feed a traditional way, you can observe this is the sequence they follow. If at all you consume sweet at the end, already your stomach is loaded. For the loaded stomach, you are giving more load. Sweet is going to be a bigger load at the end. For digesting bitter and astringent and pungent, stomach will not work much because it will immediately sense that this is not food. It will simply pass it to intestine. But if you consume food at the end, sweet food at the end, stomach will sense it as food only. It has to work more on sweet food which is consumed at the end. That is when you feel really very heavy. And on top of which, if you consume ice cream, gone case. After the wedding receptions meal, one big ice cream, gone case. More and more of sweet and more of cold. Stomach was supposed to be warm. Instead, it is made more and more cold, and stomach has to work double to again regain its temperature. These are all the very unhealthy practices of the modern age, which people are doing very silly mistakes in their lifestyle. I don't know who will advise them. I don't know whether you will take my advice at all or not. I really don't know. Ajnascha shraddhathanascha samshayatma vinashyati naloko naparaha nasukam samshayatmanaha, as told by the Bhagavad Gita. Consume liquid food in the beginning, solid food in the middle, liquid food at the end. You should not consume a heavy solid food in the beginning itself because again stomach will become afraid. If there is a heavy load coming, it has to secrete so much of hydrochloric acid. So when you consume liquid food in the beginning, it will take it lightly, and afterwards when you put solid food, that solid food will mix with the liquid food and the digestion will be proper. Then again liquid food at the end. Again observe our normal South Indian meals style, where always they end with the buttermilk or with the curd rice. That is liquid food at the end. Okay. I have a question here. I had told you people to practice Jyotitrataka and Bimbatrataka, and My student has practiced Bimbatrataka. He has asked a question here. In Bimbatrataka, when I closed eyes, I saw a white-like structure and it was moving up and down. In Jyotitrataka, I saw a light red color moving randomly. Can you let us know exactly what it is? Okay. First, I will discuss Jyotitrataka. You keep on looking at the oil lit lamp, then you close your eyes. When you focused on that particular lamp for few minutes, that image got stored in the retina for more time. As soon as you close your eyes, that image which was already there in the retina, that will remain there for some time. Because this eyeball has a property of storage. For example, if you look at a bright light, when you look at a bright light, when you close your eyes, you will see the bright light even when you close your eyes, which means that retina retains the image for some time. So the same thing happens when you look at this Jyoti. So you looked at that fire which is glowing in front of you. Now the same type of color, you looked at the orange color, orange or red color, that will get retained in the retina. Later on, when I start my practical classes, I am going to make you people practice something called Mandala Dharana. At that time, I will discuss more about complementary colors, not now. Okay. So, whatever you look at, when you close your eyes, you will have its complementary color. Don't ask me now what is meant by complementary color. You will have to wait until that practical class. So, that complementary color in this case is that red color. That red color remains there. Now, based on the way in which you move your eyeballs, you will see as if it is moving there. Actually, it is not moving there. You are moving your eyeball. And if you say that light red color is moving randomly, then it means that you are moving your eyeball randomly. If you keep your eyeball steady, it will remain there only. You check it next time. So this is a test on yourself that how much focus you are having or how much concentration you are having. If you are having too much of focus or concentration, you will never move your eyeballs. In general, the movement of the eyes are directly related to the status of the mind. If the mind is unstable, eyes will keep on moving here and there. If the mind is stable, eyes will remain steady. So this is an exercise where it is a check that if that red color remains in front of you without moving anywhere, then it means that you have attained stability on your eyes. In other way, you have attained stability on your mind. Now, if at all it moves toward the right side or it moves toward the left side, there are cases that with some people, this red color may keep moving towards the right side. Then it indicates that you are predominantly using your right brain, because predominantly eyeballs also move towards that direction. Similarly, if it is moving toward the left side, you are predominantly using your left brain. I will discuss more about left and right brain aspects in my next set of slides. In this presentation only, in the next set of slides. Until then, you have to wait. Now, this is regarding Jyotitrataka. Regarding Bimbatrataka, when you see your own image in the mirror, when you close your eyes, you will see a white-like structure. If you see a white-like structure, it means that you must have been wearing a black shirt at that time. Correct me if I am wrong. There is something called complementary color. Whatever color shirt you are wearing, that color's complementary color you will be seeing as an image inside your retina. Now again, don't ask questions about complementary colors. That's a bigger discussion. You will have to wait till the end for that. I cannot tell you now. Only when we start Mandala Dharana, then at that time I can tell you. So if you are seeing a white structure, which means that either you have been wearing a black shirt. I had told people to wear a light colored shirt only, so that you will see some other color there. Now you continue Bimbatrataka and let me know your next experience, because in Bimbatrataka there is something else. I have told you to look at the middle of the eyebrows in the image in the mirror. Now when you close your eyes, you should be able to see your complete body in a different way, because you are looking at your own body in the mirror. Now, when you close your eyes, your complete body must be visible in a different way, and your head also must be visible, your body also must be visible completely. You practice this once again. In the next session, you tell me if you have any different experience. Later on, I will elaborate my answer. Okay. The next question is, generally people in rural side use neem stick as toothbrush. Is it good for teeth? Correct. That's what I told you. They use only neem stick, which is bitter, which is astringent, and they bite on it. That's all. That is enough. Whole mouth gets washed by it. Okay, my student is telling that he was wearing a light green color shirt. Yeah, when you use the light green color shirt, its complementary color you would have seen, but you would have been mistaking it as a white color. Next time when you do it, again check clearly about which color you see. If you see white, that means you are wearing black. Black and white are complementary colors. Green and red are complementary colors. That way, there is a list of complementary colors that I will not discuss now. That's a bigger subject. Okay, with this I will stop for today. It's already 9 o'clock. Tomorrow we will meet once again. Until then, take care and goodbye.